Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Business Talk with me, your host, Liseli Kanyanga Muvanga. Remember, Business Talk is a program that is tailor-made for entrepreneurs, those that are aspiring to be in business and those that are already in business. On this particular episode of Business Talk, I feature the Zambia Revenue Authority Corporate Communications Manager, Topsy Sikalinda, who will be enlightening us on what the authority has been up to in regards to ensuring that it functions even better for the Zambian people. Do join me after this set of commercials.
To increase sales of your products and services, advertise on Comnet TV. Reach your clients and target markets directly and see your business grow. For special rates, you can contact our marketing department on
0955 664 305 or 0978 290 626. Camnet TV.
Not just another channel.
As promised earlier, I do have the Zambia Revenue Authority Corporate Communications Manager, Mr. Topsy Sikalinda, who will be enlightening us on what the authority has been up to in regards to ensuring that it functions better for the Zambian people. Mr. Sikalinda, thank you so much for according us the opportunity to be on Business Talk.
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure to join our viewers out there.
Let's not take it for granted that everybody knows what ZRA is. So perhaps you may enlighten us first things first.
Okay, the Zambia Revenue Authority is a body that is established to ensure that it collects revenue for the government of the Republic of Zambia and the Zambian people. At the same time, we do not only collect revenue that is therefore pumped back into the various communities. We also provide another service, which is trade facilitation in the country on behalf of the business sector and also our neighboring countries. Apart from that, we also provide the security component by making sure that whatever is coming into the country is actually protected and is actually meeting the required standards. Therefore, it is important that all of us pay our fair share of taxes for us to develop the country, because it is these very same taxes that are used in terms of infrastructure development. It is the same taxes that are paid that are used in terms of infrastructure in the health sector, in the education sector, in many other sectors. So the taxes we pay are actually meant to benefit you, our people, you, our viewers out there, because it's the same tax that actually makes the economy move. It's the same tax that makes the engines of the government in terms of the entire civil service move and serve our country better. In short, or in summary, we would say taxes are the price we pay to live in a civilized society.
Okay. I know in the recent past, I know the ZRA encompasses quite a lot of areas in terms of tax collection, TPN registration. It's quite a lot. It's huge. But perhaps, just as you had enlightened me earlier concerning the roadmap that the authority has taken in regards to ensuring that it functions better, because I know in the past it's been quite tedious, even just from the smallest thing of maybe even creating a TPIN. I know you are on a roadmap. Perhaps you can enlighten us on what the authority has been up to.
Okay, the authority has been on a great transformation agenda. And this transformation agenda is actually enshrined in our corporate strategy, and our corporate strategy is running from 2019 to 2021. It's a 3-year corporate strategy, and in this corporate strategy, it is anchored on 4 key pillars. The first pillar is the improving of our revenue collection, which is a financial perspective. The second pillar is a taxpayer focus, which is a customer perspective. The third pillar is actually improving systems, processes, and procedures. Then the last one is improving our staff. And this is based on the balanced scorecard, which looks at the 4 key pillars. So maybe to break it down into these pillars. The financial perspective is that we have decided to ensure that we collect more revenue for the Zambian people and ensure that we remit this revenue to the government so that in turn the government gives it back to the community in form of various services. So in expanding our revenue collection, we have actually tried to expand the tax base by doing a number of initiatives that were put in place. For instance, the appointment of tax agents in some sections. These are especially in the informal sector where we had a number of challenges in terms of collecting. Then we have also put in place some tools that would help us with compliance. Among them, we have introduced the electronic physical devices. Apart from the electronic physical devices, maybe for our viewers out there, an electronic physical device, what we're doing as ZRI now is that in the old days when you walk into a shop and buy something, you would get a slip that is printed from the till slip, okay, from that cash register, the machine at the counter. Now, what was happening in the past is that it was very difficult to account for taxes that you pay as citizens from these cash registers because they had a lot of loopholes. Somebody can just get rid of that row, and once they get rid of that row, it means that the entire record of what was sold on that particular day cannot be found. Therefore, it was easy to evade tax or to actually run away or from paying taxes. So the electronic fiscal devices, these are now electronic machines that we are, or computerized machines that we are putting in the shops, okay? So that immediately you purchase a pen, you purchase a book, it is indicated at the Zambia Revenue Authority. We are able to monitor that transaction and we are able to tell that this particular shop has sold so much and these are the taxes we are expecting in real time. That aside, it helps us also just avoid reconciliation challenges because at the time you'll be filing in your return as a business, you already know how much you should pay. So this also helps the business sector in terms of compliance and many other things. We have also intensified in terms of our anti-smuggling activities by changing the strategy. In the old days, before we implemented this strategy, was that we had a centralized system in terms of enforcement. And the centralized system meant that people would only go on patrols based on the routes. So what the smugglers were doing is that when they knew that our staff were on the southern route, the smugglers would be using the eastern route. By the time we go to the eastern route, the smugglers knew that the southern route is now free. So what we've done now is to decentralize the enforcement activities countrywide, and after decentralizing that, it means that people now, all areas or all the major routes have now been sealed permanently, and we've put in these people permanently, they're not moving out. That aside, we also are in trying to ensure that there's compliance. We are dealing with the aspects of revenue collection in terms of debt recovery. That aspect has also been dealt with. We have a fully fledged debt recovery unit that has been empowered to ensure that taxes that are owed to the government are actually paid. We have also ensured that we also seal on various revenue leakages. For instance, we had some serious revenue leakages in terms of VAT refunds. Therefore, we had to set up a refunds committee now that, and also just bring in order in that area. So now there's some order in that area, and we are ensuring that before any refund is paid, a critical analysis of that refund is done so that only genuine refunds are paid. We move to the customer perspective.
Yes.
The customer perspective, we want to ensure that we get closer to the customer and make it easier. In the old days, if you remember, I think when people talk about ZRA, the only thing you thought of was probably queues. Apart from queues, it was really a huge, it wasn't a pleasant word to even mention to people. But now the new ZRA is that it's a friendly organization. We are looking at trying to serve our clients better. I think we want to be viewed as a business partner to the business community out there. We want to be seen to be a strategic partner to every business. That's our approach. That's how we want to be viewed by the client. Therefore, we are trying to get closer to the client. This is why we, in terms of physical approach, we have opened new service centers. For instance, in Lusaka, we've opened a service center at Cosmopolitan Mall to make sure that our clients can be served from there and reduce congestion in other offices. We've also opened another service center at East Park Mall, trying to get closer to our people out there so that they can get a service in a place with a proper ambience and just that feel-good feel in there. We've also opened on the Copper Belt at the ECL Mall, which is the Edgar Chagwa Lungu Mall, another service center on the Copper Belt that is in Kitwe in particular. We are also opening some more in other areas, and we are still looking at how best we can get to closer to our people. That aside, in terms of getting closer to our people, we've also brought in systems that help us get closer, not only physically but also online. We have decided to also get closer by using systems like the introduction of Tax on Phone. Tax on Phone is a service where our clients just have to dial *858# to get all our services from registration to filing in of returns and also making payments on the phone. And with payments, our clients are also able now to make payments through the bank electronically. And I'm glad to announce that at the moment, if you see, we have more than almost 90% of all our transactions are actually done electronically now, which is, I think, a plus for us because it reduces a number of risks. That aside, apart from the Tax on app itself, it also comes with a number of advantages. Among these advantages is that we were looking at an entrepreneur in Luingu. We were looking at an entrepreneur in Kipushi. We were looking at an entrepreneur in Gwembe, where probably there are no internet facilities in that area. How do we make sure that there's compliance in that area? So Tax on app brings in that opportunity because you do not need internet for you to file in your return, for you to register for your taxes. It uses the USSD platform where you don't need any bundles, you don't need airtime because the service is entirely free. So you are able to access all our services using any type of phone, even if it's not a smartphone. In Bemba, we say even if nikachilanganda phone, you are able to access our services. That aside, we have also done quite a lot in terms of processes and procedures, which is our third pillar. We have done a lot. One of them is taking the bold step in terms of introducing a new system, which is an upgraded version of Tax Online. So we have rolled out Tax Online 2. The first system of Tax Online, which was very good at that time, but with time, I think we noted that we needed to improve the service to our clients. So the new system now is that the old system, for your own information, which was Tax Online 1, was a rented system that we were using from a foreign-based entity, and it was quite costly for the Zambian people. If it's costly for ZRA because this is taxpayers' money, it means it's costly for the Zambian people. So we had to take a very bold step in terms of looking for a local solution. And we believed in our local people. As Zambia Revenue Authority, we want to grow our own. Therefore, we decided to partner with the Copper Belt University. And after partnering with the Copper Belt University, we decided to build a new system from scratch. So the current Tax Online system, which is a simplified version, seamless and working very efficiently, was built from scratch by the Zambian people. All the people who built the new system were actually Zambian. And we are glad to announce that the system has made us save a lot of costs. For instance, support costs for the old system, just to support the system, we were paying between $1.5 to about $2 million for support. And we were also being billed for every change that we make to the system because we did not have the blueprint to the system. As a result, all those changes were done by a foreign entity, and this foreign entity was actually earning a lot of revenue from that. But we believe that this can be done, and we could actually save a lot of money for the Zambian people. So a local solution was done to really respond to the real needs of Zambian people. And this was putting into account understanding the Zambian business environment, and I think we have seen results already paying off. That we have done quite more. For instance, on the customs side, we have introduced what we are calling pre-declarations. Pre-declarations is a situation where we allow the client now to lodge in documentation even as much as 5 days or more before the goods get to the border. This also helps us reduce on dwell time at the border. And once we reduce dwell time at the border, it means that we have improved our trade facilitation, and at the same time we are reducing cost of doing business for the business sector, because now they don't have to spend more time at the border. By the time they get to the border, all the clearing procedures would have been done. Therefore, they just pass. We just do an inspection and they're able to pass the border. We've also noted that, for instance, especially for our colleagues who are coming into the country, previously, we have a number of border agencies at the border, and previously what would happen is that once you get to the border, you had to fill in a form with immigration, fill in another form with, for example, compulsory standards, fill in another form with ZRA. There was quite a lot of documentation to be done. So we have integrated all these into one single document, which is now called the Integrated Border Management Form, which is a single form, and the same form is going to be used for all the border agencies at the border. So this has also just made the process simpler for our people who are coming into the country, and it makes us look more organized. And the same information that has been declared to immigration, it means that it's the same information that will be declared to all the other border agencies, which just improves our quality of service to the people out there.
Okay. I know all this has been started being implemented way back in 2019, and this is 2020, and most of us didn't even see that we would be hit by the coronavirus. Has the Zambia Revenue Authority been affected in terms of tax collection?
Definitely, we have been affected. As you are aware, is that from, I think, 2016, when the transformation agenda started itself, the Zambia Revenue Authority has actually recorded positive strides. I think if you look at 2017, we actually collected beyond our revenue target. 2018 was the same. 2019 was the same. 2020 has created a lot of challenges for us, and as an authority, we are always happy to be associated with greatness. We are always happy to be associated with success. But the coronavirus has hit us hard, not only as an authority, but it has also hit the business sector very hard. Therefore, during this period, as an authority, we had to sit down and replan. We needed to reposition ourselves to say, look, yes, we are into revenue collection, but how do we support sustainable revenue collection? We needed to help the business sector. Therefore, a number of proposals were made to the Ministry of Finance, and once these proposals were done, because we wanted to support the business sector, we knew that during coronavirus period, some businesses may go down. So how do we support the businesses so that they don't go down? Because if they go down, we won't have a revenue base to collect these taxes. Therefore, a number of proposals were done. For instance, after these proposals were done, most of them were actually approved by the ministry, and the minister went ahead to sign an SI. For instance, first of all, to fight the coronavirus itself, we had to remove excise duty on ethanol, which is the main ingredient that is put in place when we are manufacturing hand sanitizers. So we had to reduce the cost to ensure that people can afford the hand sanitizers. So to put it into perspective, previously to bring in a truckload or a tanker of ethanol, it would cost you roughly about roughly between between 900 to 1 million kwacha to bring in a truck in terms of taxes. When this was actually removed, okay, when we removed excise, which is the highest component of it, it means that the business community there who are into manufacturing of hand sanitizer are only paying roughly about 100,000 kwacha to bring in a truckload of ethanol. So there's a huge saving, and this saving has actually been passed on to the community and ordinary citizens out there. Therefore, we have seen many lives being saved, and we have seen that the fight against the coronavirus has actually been amplified. That aside, various SIs were signed to ensure that we support the business community out there and ensure that the business community doesn't collapse. One of them was to do with ensuring that issues to do with issues to do with penalties, late filing in, and everything was managed well during this period, because we know they are going through a financial difficult period. Therefore, lumping them with penalties and interest wouldn't be helpful during this period. Therefore, the minister signed an SI for a period of 6 months that would run. I think it runs up to September, if I'm not mistaken, September or October, one of the two. It means that the penalties wouldn't be charged, the interest wouldn't be charged, but we still expect the business community to file in their returns. And it is critical that these returns are filed in. So that was put in place to try and just manage and help the business community deal with those. At the same time, we had another SI that was looking at medical supplies being exempted from paying certain taxes, and there were a number of other initiatives that we put in place. Then we also opened up our doors to the business community, saying if you have any challenges during this period, visit us. And that door or that window of hope is still open. Visit us, we'll sit with you, plan with you, and strategize with you how we can help you through this period. So that window is still open to the business sector out there. Whichever business has got issues to do with taxes during this coronavirus period, our doors are open. We want to sit with you, we want to give you the support, and we want to ensure that we help you through this difficult period. So those are some of the activities that we are putting in place. Coming back to collections, we have been affected in terms of revenue collection, and our revenues have drastically dropped, and we hope to, once this comes to pass and we are now in the new normal, where we are being asked to get the economy back to its wheels. And that's what we're trying to do as we ensure that we abide by the various health rules that have been put in place. So we are optimistic that the situation will improve, and we will still be able to meet our target this year, although it's really a huge milestone, but we are optimistic. We will see how we can deal with that, and also at the same time without squeezing the business sector out of business.
Okay. Maybe to just take you back a little, Zambia, amongst many African countries, faces issues to do with unemployment rather. What has the authority put in place in terms of ensuring that the youths are brought on board?
Okay. First of all, that's a very good question. Thank you for bringing it up. You must understand that we have provided, within our means, we have provided support to that effect in terms of employment creation. For your own information, in 2019, we got authority to employ over 100 people in the Zambia Revenue Authority. And we went ahead, advertised this, and people applied. After they applied, we did aptitude test. That's our procedure in terms of employing people. After the aptitude test, we had to do personal interviews, and we managed to offer over 100 people in terms of giving them jobs. In 2020, again, the Ministry of Finance gave us authority to employ about 120. Therefore, we needed mainly the youths, mainly the fresh blood that we thought we needed to create a backbone that would support the institution in terms of revenue collection. So what we did is that we approached the various universities. After approaching the various universities, we got graduates, the recent graduates from these universities. We actually got from 5 different universities, and mainly we were looking at those who had done very well the brilliant ones. These are merit holders and distinction holders. Because you see, what happens currently is that sometimes we have somebody who's so intelligent, so bright. They work so hard in university, get a merit or a distinction. Afterwards, they still struggle to get a job. And ZRA said, look, I think we need to create an opportunity for these intelligent people. Therefore, we went to the universities and asked them to give us list of their recent graduates, all those who graduated with merits and distinctions. The 5 universities gave us those names, and the total number of those names was 1,200. We took them in and took them into aptitude test. From the aptitude test, we selected roughly about 400 or so. Then from the 400 plus, we decided to employ 120 from that list. As I speak to you right now, these are undergoing training right now. And most of them were actually shocked to see their names in the papers being invited for the aptitude test. So these are some of the initiatives we are putting in place to ensure that we create employment within. At the same time, the appointment of tax agents has also created employment opportunities for the various sectors, for the various institutions and various youths out there.
Okay. Lastly, I would like you to talk to that entrepreneur that is just starting out, that person that desires to start importing goods, and to them, their mind is that when it comes to tax payment, when it comes to border transactions, everything is just tedious. What do you have to say to them to just get started?
Okay, for starters, what is critical is that not only to entrepreneurs but everyone, whoever wants to make a payment of taxes, for starters, make sure that these taxes are paid directly to ZRA through the bank or online. Please do not give any third party, whether you're importing a vehicle, you're doing anything, never pay taxes to a third party, especially cross-border traders. We have seen a notion or a situation where they decide to pay drivers, they decide to pay conductors, that this is the component of tax. They are not tax collectors. Please ensure that all taxes are paid directly to the Zambia Revenue Authority. That way you avoid being swindled. That is critical. Now, coming back to the issue or to your question, the biggest secret of any business, and I don't know why people always leave this out. They will tell you all these secrets, but the real secret is always left out. Tax compliance from day one makes your business become compliant, makes your business efficient, because that way you never feel the tax burden. Therefore, the way taxes operate, also some people don't understand how taxes operate. For instance, let me give an example. If you're a small business, say a home shop, you are registered for what is called turnover tax. So for turnover tax, you're only expected to pay 4% of your total income, okay, in that particular month. 4% only. So if you're running a business and that business, for instance, has not done any particular transaction in that month, okay, you're a Tamanga, and in that particular month you have not supplied, you have not done any business, the authority does not require you to pay. Okay. So you only pay when you have made business or when you have made money. If you have not transacted, you don't pay, but you are still expected to file in a return. So a return is just a communication to the Zambia Revenue Authority saying this is how I've fared in this particular month. So returns are done every month. Therefore, if you have not transacted, you file in what is called a zero return. And a zero return means that there will be no payment to be made. That's how the way it works. Therefore, if you've transacted, okay, for instance, you've made 100 kwacha, you'll be expected to pay your turnover tax at 4%, meaning that the taxes you'll be expected to pay is only 4 kwacha. That's how affordable it is. Whereas we also have other people, for instance, marketeers, okay? Our grandmothers or my mother who's selling vegetables at the market, they are expected to pay only a base tax of 1 kwacha only per day, which is just a coin. So at times people tend to exaggerate things like the tax burden is so huge and everything, especially in the political arena. But it's not like that. What we need to understand is that honestly, you will contribute to the national development if you're a marketeer just by paying that single coin, just a coin, 1 kwacha only. That's all. No other taxes are attached to that. Similar, when you're a little bit bigger, you're expected to pay your turnover tax at 4%. Therefore, it is important that from the beginning, if you're in business, tax compliance is critical, because that way you'll not feel the burden. Also, we have a huge challenge when it comes to our colleagues who are registered for VAT. They are the biggest people who complain. VAT is for businesses. We allow businesses that are above 800,000 kwacha in terms of threshold turnover in a year. Those that are above that, they're the ones that we encourage to register for that, or who are mandated to register for VAT. Now, the VAT business sector has a huge problem. They always complain that they have challenges to pay ZRA. Okay? The biggest mistake we make is this. You supply goods, okay? After you supply goods, you charge the taxes, which is VAT, the 16%. When we get the payment, the biggest mistake is that we get that money and chew the money together with the taxes. If you are registered for VAT, you are just an agent collecting on behalf of the government. Therefore, the 16% that you have charged is not your money. The 16% you have charged is government money.
Should we take it as tithe?
Probably, kind of. It's not really tithe, because tithe is coming from your money. But the 16% you
It's
charge
not
the
your
client, but it's not your money. Therefore, that money belongs to the government. So for prudent management, it is important that when you charge the taxes, which is 16%, immediately you receive your payment, split the money. Get the 16%, put it aside, okay? And you now know that this is my money, and deal with your money the way you want. While the taxes, if possible, create a separate account for it. At the time of payment, at the end of the month, submit that payment. It is critical that they understand that component. That way they will not have challenges. The biggest problem is that we've always thought the 16% VAT is our money. Therefore, when we get payment, we start counting that money as part of our money when it's not our money. You are just an agent who is collecting on behalf of the government the 16%. Therefore, it is critical that that component is made clear to our entrepreneurs out there, to the business sector out there. That way, they will not have challenges.
Thank you so much for according us an opportunity to be on Business Talk this evening, Thursday. Any last words?
Our last words is that we have a fully fledged call center in case our people want to consult us and get more details. Let them feel free to call 4111. That's our new line for the call center. Please ensure that you call that number. Our friendly staff will be there to ensure that they guide you step by step. At the moment, we are not even encouraging people to come to our offices, because all the services that ZRA offers can be done from your phone, from your computer, or anywhere. Therefore, you can do all the transactions from the comfort of your home. At the same time, allow me to also make mention that all ZRA services are free, starting from registration and obtaining of all certificates. We have seen a number of people being charged for services like change of motor vehicle ownership. That process at Zambia Revenue Authority is free.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope, like I have been enlightened, you too have been enlightened concerning the operations of the Zambia Revenue Authority. At this particular moment in time, we move on to our next segment, which is Success Ladder, and we look at a number of people who have made it against the odds.
To increase sales of your products and services, advertise on Comnet TV. Reach your clients and target markets directly and see your business grow. For special rates, you can contact our marketing department on
0955 664 305 or 0978 290 626. Camnet TV.
not just another channel.
My name is Clive Kalambo, born on the Copper Belt. Let me just say, born and bred on the Copper Belt. I did my primary school there as well as my secondary school, and did a bachelor's at the Copper Belt University, Bachelor's of Science in Production and Operations Management. And immediately after my completion, I joined the Zambia Police Service and pursued a career in the same security services. And so it's been an interesting journey for me, both as an entrepreneur as well as an employee. And talking of entrepreneurship, I first got an interest in business, I think about 10 years ago, and it's been an interesting journey. In the past 10 years, I've tried so many businesses, and so it's been a journey of failures, successes, lessons, losses and profits, and so it's been a long and very involving 10 years in terms of entrepreneurship. I remember my first business was ordering beverages from Zimbabwe and coming to resell here in Zambia. And I did that, I think, for 2 or 3 years. And then I started getting clothes from Tanzania and coming to resell. Then I also started rice. I did money lending and so on and so forth. So entrepreneurship is something that is dear to my heart. It is something that I'm known for, and wherever you hear the name Clive Kalambo, it will be tagged somehow to entrepreneurship. So the past 10 years has been a time of lessons, and just recently there's a UN report on prospects, world prospects, that estimated that in the next, between now and 2050, the world population is going to increase by 2.4 billion, and 1.3 billion of that population is going to come from Africa, okay? And now this population already means there'll be an increase in demand for a lot of things like food and other services, meaning there's enough potential for entrepreneurship. So when talking about entrepreneurship, I think one thing that we should not forget is the cultural aspect, and wherever you go, world over, beginnings in business, or let me say business startups, is very difficult, and Africa, and Zambia in particular, comes with its own challenges, unique challenges because of its emerging markets. And you agree with me that Zambia has more than 72 tribes, with more than 15 recognized languages. So that on its own has an impact on entrepreneurship. And wherever I want to talk about entrepreneurship landscape, the culture aspect should not be overlooked. And so culture is one of the challenges, that entrepreneurs are facing today. And, no matter how much you want to run away from it, culture also brings its own aspect in as much as entrepreneurship is concerned. And the most obvious one, which is a source of capital, is one of the biggest challenges that entrepreneurs are facing. And when I talk of capital, I'm talking of money. Yes, you and I know for sure that you can't just simply walk in a bank today and request for 100,000 kwacha and they give you, And other than Zambia, I think across Africa, this is one challenge that indigenous entrepreneurs are facing. For instance, in our setup, you find that it is very difficult to access capital. It comes with a lot of issues like high interest, failure to evaluate financial proposals, things like collateral. This is an entrepreneur who's just starting, but the bank will ask you for collateral. So it's very difficult for one to expand. You can have big dreams, a nice vision, very clear, but somehow along the way you might need money. And I think that's where most Zambian entrepreneurs are caught up, because it's very difficult to get money. And then, among other things that entrepreneurs are experiencing as challenges, even as they pursue their dreams, is issues of capacity, issues of access to information. You agree with me that people have big dreams, but we don't have capacity. Capacity in terms of, yes, financial aspect, but also capacity to grow our businesses. When you look at developed countries and many other countries that are doing very well in as much as entrepreneurship is concerned, have programs that are supporting new entrants into business. If you look, for example, in the UK, in the USA, even in China, you find programs such as startup clinics. You know, these are programs that are well modeled, you know, to mold new entrants in business. They will teach you things like financial handling of finances from your personal level, even up to business level. So, and so many things. They have access to people who have made it in business, you know. But in Africa, it's kind of tough. It's very difficult. My experience is that even to just make a schedule for a meeting with a CEO of an established business, it can even take you 3 months. You know, so we've got so much to do. It's very difficult, and many entrepreneurs in Africa have a very long learning curve, in that you're going to experience everything on your own. You know, there is no set-up institution that I know where you run to, or where you are going to be taught how to handle certain things as an entrepreneur. So it's a journey of try and error, you know. That's why many Zambian, or let me just say many entrepreneurs in Africa, they don't usually go beyond 2 to 3 years, because they get frustrated along the way, and eventually they are bent out and they come out of business. So you become your own marketing person. It's a situation where it's all in one. You become your own human resource, you become your own financial director, you become your own public relations officer. So entrepreneurship in Zambia is very difficult. I'm not trying to scare people, but I will have to prepare people so that they are not casualties at the end of the day, because it comes with its own challenges. Okay, you know, late nights, you know, failed deals, you know, betrayal from friends, and so on and so forth. So entrepreneurship in Zambia yes, we're getting there with the coming up of a lot of programs that I know are from ZDA, but still we need to pull up our socks in terms of empowering our entrepreneurs. And so it still remains a one-man show, and if you're not careful, you end up getting out of business. And the other challenge also that many entrepreneurs are facing is the issue of competition. So entrepreneurship or business startups are coming on the market where there are already people doing what they're starting to do. Okay, it's like going into a forest knowing there are lions there. Okay, but with the hope that you're going to survive and reach the end. That's what entrepreneurship is about. So competition is there, and there's obviously there's unfair competition. And what do I mean by this? You find that when you look around our compounds, I think it's now countrywide, many small and medium enterprises are dominantly run by foreigners, Chinese, Indians, mostly, and Rwandese. And one wonders, and you want to ask yourself, why is it so? You know, and from my little research that I did, I found that one of the reasons why most foreigners are seemingly looking to be Trump, winning so much in business is because of their easy source of capital. Okay, just recently I was interacting with my Chinese colleague who said they access their capital at 4%. So you're looking at someone who's accessing their capital cheaply, almost 10 times cheaper or smaller than what we, the Zambian indigenous entrepreneurs, are pursuing. But we're competing in the same landscape and competing for the same products. and probably the same services. So competition is very unfair and at the same time very high. So one needs to trade off certain things, otherwise it's not easy. One might easily just come out of business. And you know, talking of new entrants in business, I've come up with a book which I'm calling, or rather entitled, Startup Master Plan. So in this book is where I explain things like how to identify your passion and how to grow your potential as a startup, you know, things like relationship capital. You know, you're going to agree with me if you're in business that it's not just financial capital that you need. You also need relationship capital. These are among other things that were highlighted in this book, the Startup Master Plan. And so, in as much as we can talk about challenges faced in entrepreneurship or as entrepreneurs, it has a better side also. It has a positive side also. Entrepreneurship may be difficult, but it's very rewarding. It's very fulfilling, and you command your progress. You know, you can decide to wake up at 10 o'clock, you can decide to wake up at 11, go to your office, you know, and maybe work for 5 hours and still knock off. It's unlike the traditional, you know, kind of employment where you're required to report for work at 6 o'clock and leave your office probably at 17 hours. So entrepreneurship also comes with its own benefits, and there's an adage that says, if you develop or become good at your job, you get a promotion, you know, and at the end of the day, you retire and they'll replace you with someone else. But if you can work at your business, you can create a fortune for yourself. So I'm encouraging everyone that feels they can do something, everyone that feels they can get into entrepreneurship, into business, to not relent, but go for it.
I'm a welder. Tuko na challenge ya Zesco anaikira mtengo. So challenge ikulu inatupezeka nayo ni yakuti ma customers ngati babwela si bonse bakwanisa mitengo zokula ma product yake benangu babwana mtengo zingono zokula ma product saipezeka ngati wakulisa ija katundu wala market profit yanatupezamo ni ngono because of malite wanaikira.
My welders, my issue ya malite yako kutuma tariff ya nadula ya tishitakuwa affect in terms of pricing. Kairi kuti balance, we have to increase the pricing ya ma product yato manje ma client wavuti.
Challenge ni mozi chawe ka tariff kari high, so to mitigate profit tivuti kaingani hand to mouth.
It has affected us, you know, in so many ways, such that they have increased, but us we can't increase, because when you increase you lose out. So it has affected us a lot, you know.
These are welders based in Lusaka's Kalingalinga. Since the increase in the ZESCO tariffs, there has been nothing but either a slim profit margin or complete loss in an effort of trying to bring in customers. They have since called on government to rescue them from the mouth of the unaffordable electricity tariffs, as they need to be able to feed their families at the end of the day.
So tezopempa ku head of state kula ma pledges yanabwera yapanga sense batoshereko ku malaiti chiteko benefit nice kopena tingaoneko go way forward.
These people, they need to do something, because to our business it's not fair. You can't be buying 100 kwacha 40 units. The government is just to consider us. Spend so much on your power. This one here.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We have come to the end of the second episode of Business Talk with me, Liseli Kanyanga Mubanga. Do join me next week for another exciting edition. God bless.